Okay, thank you. All right, everyone, welcome. This is the regular meeting of the Suffern Central School District Board of Education for Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. May the record reflect that all board members are present. Unfortunately, Dr. Gunderson cannot be with us tonight as he's attending to a personal matter. And we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, 1.07 student report. Good evening, Talijah.
I sat on the right side today. Good afternoon. I hope everybody had a great day. Here are a couple updates from the high school that are currently going on. Today at unit lunch, as some of you may have seen on the Suffern Central Instagram, the 11th grade AVID students held a college fair for all the students, and each student picked a college and created a display board with information underclassmen were able to visit each table and talk to the AVID students as well. So it was a great opportunity for all students at Suffern who are still deciding on where they want to go in the future and experience the colleges, like away from the colleges, experience that. And then Wednesday, April 2nd, there's the Combined English and Social Studies Honor Society induction at 7 p.m. at the Suffern High School auditorium. I happen to be the president of History Honor Society, so I have the privilege of inducting new students, a part of 11th grade and 12th graders, and announcing a new board as well as the English Honor Society will do that as well. So that should be really exciting. I'm excited for tomorrow. And then Thursday, April 3rd is the Music Honors Night at 7 p.m. at the auditorium at the high school as well. And then this Friday also concludes the third quarter for high school, I think, and middle school as well. So there's a lot of things going on at the high school as far as teachers and students and concluding this quarter and stuff like that. And then grades, I believe, are due for teachers, I think the next following Wednesday. And then Monday, April 7th is String Extravaganza at 7:30 at the high school as well, where all members of the orchestra will be performing a sequence of songs. And then following that on April 8th is the band bonanza, I think that's what you say, at 7:30, where people part of the band will be playing a sequence of songs as well. And then, which is probably most exciting for most people, spring break starts April 11th. Spring break is Friday, April 11th to April 21st, I believe. And yeah, that's all I have for this week. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Talijah, and thank you for your service on the History Honor Society, as well as all the other things that you do. It's Honor Society season. That's wonderful. Okay, we're now going to move on to 1.08, which is the minutes of the regular meeting of March 18th, 2025. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? Good. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Mr. Frazier, second.
Second.
Mr. Kern, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, very good. 1.09 is superintendent's comments, but since our superintendent is not here tonight, I'm going to do it. And we have some wonderful events for tonight. We are so pleased to welcome Area 10 New York State School Boards Association members, Cheryl Brady, and New York State School Boards Association Area 10 Director, and Tammy Beaker, New York State School Boards Association, or NYSBA, as we call it, Awards and Recognition Committee member for Area 10. They are here tonight to celebrate Suffern Middle School as a champion of change for their Leader in Me program. And we will be hearing from Suffern Middle School Principal, Dr. Andrew Truss. Thank you for being here, and a few students to share a bit more about the program, which is in its 5th year. Okay, all right. All right, Mrs. Brady, take it away. Cheryl.
And I apologize. I really tried to get here earlier. I came from White Plains and I ran out of a curriculum and instruction meeting for my own board, and there was so much traffic. So I apologize for not getting here in time to introduce myself to everyone. So good evening. I'm sorry Superintendent Gunderson is not present for this. President Dickman, Vice President Kern, board members, administrators, staff, students, parents. I'm here in my role of Area 10 Director of the New York State School Boards Association, known as NYSSBA, representing Westchester, Putnam, and Rockland counties. I'm the liaison between the school boards of these counties and NYSSBA, and I'm also completing my 18th year on the White Plains School Board and my 6th year on the Southern Westchester BOCES Board of Education. It's a really special treat for me to be here at the Suffern Central School District Board meeting, as I'm an ex officio member of the Rockland County School Boards Association, and I have the pleasure of serving with my colleague and your board member, Paul Shapiro, who very ably represents your district. And recently, your Assistant Superintendent, Lisa Weber, received an award from the RIC, the Lower Hudson Regional Information Center, which is associated with the BOCES, on whose board I serve, and who was the math coordinator in White Plains School District for many of the years that my children went to school there. So really special to be here. Very briefly, for those who may not be familiar with NYSSBA, NYSSBA is the New York State organization that provides leadership to our school boards through advocacy, information, and programs. And a drop of history about the champions of change recognition. A couple of years ago, NYSSBA decided to create a program to highlight the positive programming that was bringing change to students, communities, and school districts throughout New York State. The recognition is unsolicited. There's no application. It's not a competition, but NYSSBA's member relations team combs through media articles that highlight educational programs in New York State. And in addition, member relations visits upwards of 300 school districts each year to discuss their successes and challenges. NYSSBA's awards committee receives nominations from members' relations, and the committee selects programs to be recognized. So on behalf of NYSSBA President Sandra Rufo and Executive Director Bob Schneider, and I'm joined here by Tammy Berker of the Clarkstown Central School District School Board and Rockland County School Boards Association, who is NYSSBA's Area 10 Awards Committee representative. We're excited to present a Champions of Change Award to the Suffern Central School District in recognition of your Leader in Me, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens program. We understand that the program has been in Suffern Middle School, I think, for about 5 years, incorporating a leadership academy, which teaches students to develop leadership skills for the 21st century and ways to be successful in their personal lives, including enhancing their abilities to be global citizens. We have a banner here. So here is the banner. Champions of Change, Southern Central School District Board of Education, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens program. So please join me on behalf of NYSSBA in applauding all of you in the Suffern Central School District who have contributed to and who have made this program possible, including your students and everyone involved in this valuable endeavor. And congratulations again to the board for your service in supporting your students in this creative and impactful way. And thank you also for your membership in NYSSBA. And I look forward to hearing from the principal, and hopefully we can take a picture afterwards also with everybody involved.
We are doing good things at Suffern Middle School. Sometimes it's hard to know if you're doing the right things. So a little history about Leader in Me. We brought it in the school district 5 years ago. Thank you for the support of the board, because it's a program that was near and dear to my heart when I first learned about it, and I just knew that it was good for kids. Over the years, it's kind of changed a little bit, and we've grown with it. I've been in education for 22 years, and these programs come and go a lot. And Leader in Me has been a program that the teachers have bought into, the students have bought into, and it's really just growing even more. This year we've expanded it. We've created the LAC Club, which is our Leadership Ambassadors Club. And it's just another way that we can create leadership opportunities for some of our older students. The 6th graders, they really need to get familiar with the 7 Habits of Highly Successful Teens. So they have direct lessons during our Leadership Academy. The 7th graders, they're working on a project that is a meaningful project in the community, inspirational projects that take their leadership habits so that they can put them to work in the community. And now our 8th graders are involved in the LAC club, which is actually taking the onus off our teachers for teaching the direct lessons to the 6th graders. And now our 8th graders are starting to teach the direct lessons to our 6th graders. So it's just a progression of learning about the habits, implementing them in your personal life, and then using those habits to teach others. And it's really been successful, and we're very, very proud of it. We have 4 students here that are going to talk about their experience in leadership. Come on up, girls. We have Christina, Lillian, Nicolina, and Molly.
Like we got to go into classrooms and do the Leader Me with them, and it was definitely more engaging because at the beginning they were like bored and didn't want to do it, and by the end they were all like synergizing, which was the habit we were basing it off of, and they were all joined together and they were kind of excited. And it was also exciting for me to do it and with my friend Nicolina, because it was like we got to get out of our class, and it's like it was more of like fun to do it with kids instead of like learning off of slideshows and doing it more hands-on activities.
Excuse me. Can I ask what your name is?
Molly.
Can you say it in this microphone so we know, you know?
Molly.
Yeah, now everybody in the world knows you were speaking tonight. Thank you.
When we went to the classes, I feel like they definitely like responded better to us than they might have to some teachers, just because they definitely looked up to us more, just because we're like the older kids who knew more about it because we learned it in 6th grade and 7th grade. I feel like it was good for us too to show how much we knew about the habit and make it not only like fun, but making sure they knew what we were talking about. And like overall, I feel like it was just a good experience for both, like all grades, because 6th grade got to help with the slideshows, so it taught them even more about it. And then we got to teach it, so it took some like weight off the teacher's hands. So it not only taught us, but them.
So what I like about the club is that me and my friend Lily, we get to like engage. I also liked how we got to help with the slideshows, because at the beginning of the year it was like boring and like very wordy, and I liked how like the 6th graders got to help like do it ourselves, so that we can show like the 8th graders of like what we liked doing ourselves. And it's fun how like we got to do games and stuff like that. So yes.
It was definitely a lot better than sitting through presentations of words after words. And it was better getting out of the lunchroom into other classrooms doing it instead of sitting in the lunchroom. And it was a lot more engaging than listening to words after words after words. Yeah.
So what they're talking about is that the 6th grade, we have 6th graders in our LAC club as well, and the 6th graders and the 8th graders work together to develop the lessons. And obviously they bring the perspective of a student. A lot of times as teachers, we say, oh, this is going to be great for the kids. And then we present it to the kids, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it falls flat. And so by having the students involved in the process, we felt like it would be a lot more engaging with them, and they do a really, really great job. Before I wrap up, I do want any teachers and staff members that are here, please stand, because the program would be nothing without them. Any good program yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. As with any good program, if you don't have the teacher support, it just goes nowhere. And so we really appreciate all the hard work. Okay. Come on up, Tammy.
My name is Tammy Bierker. I'm from Clarkstown. I'm presently the board president, and I work with Paul on the Rockland County School Boards. We have a lot of fun, but we work hard. So there's lots to be done and lots to be advocated for. I knew Mr. Trust when he was much younger. I also knew Mr. Trust's mother, who was very invested in the school district. And she was a board member for a period of time. She was just a wonderful woman, and it's really great to see a person who's come so far and leading in your district. Suffern has a very warm spot in my heart because I did live in Sloatsburg for a short period of time, and has been very near and dear as we hear wonderful things about your district. But this program, when I read it, with all the other things that come to us, we get like 25 different programs. And as members of the awards committee, then we read them, and then we make a judgment and we vote. And the ones that come out on top, which you did, if I remember right, I think yours was a unanimous vote. And so give yourself a round of applause for that. And so it's with great pride that New York State presents this award to you and to your school and to your middle school. So we are very grateful for all the work you do for kids. And the program sounds so exciting. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dr. Trust and everyone. Yes, we must have a picture. Dr. Gunderson, if he was here, would really love a picture. Board 2. So please, staff, students, everyone.
So if you're in the front row, you just go like this. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right, everybody say. All right. Congratulations. I don't. So I'm going to send him. Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Trust. Thank you, Mrs. Narcisco and Dr. McCahill for being here tonight. Thank you to all of our Suffern teachers and staff who came tonight also to honor this program. And thank you so much to our student speakers. I can see, well, they split, but anyway, I can see that you all did absorb the lessons of the Leader in Me program. and took it and ran with it and improved on it for the presentation to students at the middle school and who are starting their middle school experience. And I really appreciate your creativity and your support and your dedication to really making this program the best that it can be. And thank you so much to NSBA for thinking of us, for being here tonight, and appreciating this program and giving us this recognition. We really do appreciate it. Yeah, round of applause for NSBA. Thank you. They're a great resource for the school board in so many ways. For our next presentation, we're going to be doing the budget presentation from Dr. Castellan. So if anybody who's here is certainly more than welcome to stay and watch the budget presentation. If you don't, now would be a good time to excuse yourself, whatever way you want to do, no pressure. And thank you, Dr. Castellan.
All right, another clearing of the room. I don't blame anyone. I'm okay with that. So the budget workshop, the exciting things that happen here. So this budget workshop is really going to focus on some expenditures and how we're going to get to where we need to be. In the last presentation and the presentation before, I put up this slide, the executive stated proposal. And the only reason why I put this up is really for continuity, to make sure that we are continually watching it. As you recall, last year, we did have that decrease in foundation aid that I did discuss in the last meeting. So there are no changes as of right now. For projected revenues, this was a slide that I put up there. And if you recall, at that time, our expenditures did not line up with our revenues, right? So we had to go back and we had to look at it. And we really had to kind of see where we could make some adjustments. So the reason why this slide's up here is because we can't really generate, a school district's limited at how they can generate revenue, right? We could generate it through pilots. However, those really kind of come to the district. Aid is basically given to us. We have the option of reserves, which we prefer not to touch, and then we have our tax levy. So now, as you can see, we were able to line up the projected expenditures for next year. Now, the individual line items might shift a little bit here or there, but those would fall into different categories, such as the other category of BOCES. Those numbers really won't change that much. But as you can see, and as most people know, salaries and benefits make up the bulk of any budget. So we have transportation, which falls in third, and then we have our special education programs in fourth. The transportation contract. So I bring up the transportation contract because this is going to be one of our biggest variables this year. As we know, my first presentation, we talked about looking at approximately 20% increase in our transportation budget. Now, if you saw in the previous slide, that was approximately 17 million. Now, we did build in about a 12% increase instead of a 20%, because one of the things we want to focus on is going out for a multi-year contract. And I discussed that a little bit in our last workshop. And what that means is we are going to ask our taxpayers and our voters basically to approve a multi-year contract. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean we need a separate proposition, but we do need to include an item line in there. So that means that if the budget passes with this item line, we're good to have a 3-year contract. If it does not, then we need to go back to the table. I believe that the only way to bring that number of 20% down to a 10 to 13% range is going out for a multi-year budget. I'm hoping by doing that, we will also attract a couple other bidders in the RFP process. I do expect this bid to go out within the next month. I've been working with transportation pretty thoroughly and our attorneys in order to make sure we have a pretty well set contract. or RFP to get a contract. And the last thing is we're going to look at some of our non-public transportation options. As the district knows, last year we went out and we awarded a couple of different contracts to some non-public vendors. And what I can say is while we're looking at, for our main contract, we're looking at anywhere from a 10 to 20% increase. For those non-public contracts, we're going to increase by CPI. CPI is dictated to us, and it's in their contract where we would basically go out. I would range that to be somewhere in the 3 to 4%. So we're pretty set there. So some of the contributing factors to our budget this year are the BOCES bond. So as many people know, Rockland BOCES went out for a bond last year. The taxpayers in Rockland County voted to pass that bond. That bond is then passed on to us because Rockland BOCES does not have an individual base. So that is another item that I haven't really talked about yet in our budget presentation, but we are going to start payments on that bond as early as next year. Therefore, in our budget, we do have that debt built in. You're going to see that bond payment will increase as the years go on a little bit, and then it will slowly decrease. We don't have any control over that. That is basically set up through the banks and BOCES and the districts within Rockland County. We have the rising costs in healthcare. While we know what our healthcare cost is going to be from July until January of next year, we don't know what it's going to be from January till June. So that's always a large increase. And as you saw in one of the previous slides, where benefits are around $41 million, right? So we build in 8 to 10% just to prevent any big changes, right? And then we have our teacher incentive. Now, this teacher incentive is a little bit larger this year than normal years, and I'll get into that in a later slide. But one of the great things about this district is we want to attract the best teachers, and we have that. So when we look at our budget and we see such large increases, the bond payment, the rising healthcare, other items that I've discussed, insurance, et cetera, these all kind of come into place. But one of the things that I do want to note is the consumer price index. And I think we all know that over the last couple of years, what you bought a gallon of milk for 4 years ago is not what you're buying for this year. We all know about eggs nowadays, right? So more or less the consumer price index has continually gone up, yet we've been able to keep our tax levy low. And this slide right here, to me personally, is probably the most powerful one here. And the reason why is you can see the last 4 years, you can see the approved budget, and you can see the year-to-year increases. You'll get to see our tax base, and then you see the levy. Typically, I present, and I have these on different slides. But if you look here, I think it's a little bit clearer to see that with all the increases over the last couple of years, with everything rising, we've been moving our budget 5%, 4%, down to 3%, and this year down to 3.8, or for next year, 3.8%. Yet when we look at our levy, we've never gone above a 1.2. So the question is really like, how were we able to maintain this and keep our taxes really low? My first year coming on, foundation aid was made whole. There was a large injection, a couple extra $1 million from New York State that we were not expecting. So that helped us budget it. We had COVID funds. We were able to increase positions that the students needed. We implemented an after-school program. We had facility upgrades and funding for our lunch programs. That then turned into CEP, the community eligibility provisions, right? So we all know that the district now receives everybody receives free meals for breakfast and lunch. We are now receiving federal monies to support those programs. So we're able to kind of back some money out of those programs and put them back into the general fund. We had a couple increase in pilots when I first came on. I did talk about pilots dropping off, but we still have some more that might be coming on in the future. And we paid a large portion of our debt off. So the district had 2 bonds, and we are going to be looking at coming to the end of another bond within the next 2 years. However, one of our bonds did drop off last year, which therefore opened up over $1 million within our operating budget. So that was another reason we were able to keep that tax levy down. So when we talk about closing the gap, how did I get from $170+ million down to 170, right? So more or less at the time of the presentation, I knew we were having conversations about attrition and what that would look like. However, we were not ready to talk about it. So the impact of the district during the restructuring, we wanted to make a commitment between the administration, the board. We wanted to make sure that nobody felt they didn't have a place in the district. We weren't doing it simply for layoffs. So one of the things that we did was we set a goal in order to maintain the same staff. By maintaining the same staff, we were allowed to have great access to program opportunities. It created stability across the buildings, and it allowed friendly faces to be in every building. Since then, we also looked at all our budget lines. We decreased some of our budget lines that did not have impact to instruction. So we looked to see where we might be able to put a couple things off or maybe move a couple of things around. We're looking at some schedule modifications, and we're going to look to streamline some different online platforms to remain consistent within the district. Questions? I know, kind of dropped off right there.
Any questions for Dr. Castellan from the board? You have questions? Okay, from Mr. Kern.
Thank you. Thank you, as always, Dr. Castellan, for the presentation. So I do have just a few follow-ups on a bunch of the slides. I mean, for starters, I do appreciate the slide, the how did we maintain slide, because I think it gives a lot of context to how we, like you said, how we're able to manage our budget over the last 3 to 4 years with minimal tax levies because of all these extra funds that we were receiving, which have since dropped off. So again, I mean, thanks for putting that out there, because I think it's important to have that context. I do want to ask a couple of questions about the healthcare, the benefits, things that are things that the district, the board, administration have no say over. They are constants. They are numbers that are always going to be there. And I know we've discussed this in the past, but approximately, and I'm not going to hold you to it, but approximately what percentage, are you expecting those to increase for next year based on this year's numbers?
So for the benefits, for the first half of the year, we know that's going to maintain the same. So we have that price. For the second half of the year, unfortunately, we don't know that. So that we worked in 8 to 10%, just in case. Some of those other items, TRS, ERS, those are dictated to us. Generally speaking, those will be around a 10% increase.
Okay. And to go to the transportation piece, again, I know this has been a large part of the budget conversation this year, the proposed 20% increase from Chestnut Ridge. If you could just give a little more context or a little more information about the bid. I know you said you're preparing it now. I don't know why that keeps cutting out, but you expect it to go out within the next month?
Correct.
Is that right?
Right. I would say within the next 2 to 3 weeks, to be realistic. I build in a month just for, back and forth with the attorneys. So what we're looking to do with the transportation contract is we've identified a couple other routes that we might be able to pull out of the general contract. If we're able to pull those out of the general contract for the bid, then that will allow us to get a cheaper option, but B, it will also limit if we have a multi-year contract and it's 12% 1 year, 6% the next year, 3% the last year. I'm completely making those numbers up, but it would allow us to kind of pull that out where we would be able to have those smaller contracts, base them on CPI, which historically has drifted around the 3% mark. So that's one of the things that we're looking to do. And really it's looking at the applications. April 1st, today was the last day of applications for our non-public schools. So we are working in the transportation office really to have those numbers. We anticipate having those renewals out hopefully by the end of next week, once all the applications are processed.
Okay, great. Thank you. And lastly, if you could if you could provide a little more detail around the BOCES bond that was approved last year, what those numbers look like, because I don't recall specifics about the numbers.
Absolutely. So, and off the top of my head, I could tell you it's around the 600, around the 600,000 mark would be our capital BOCES contribution for that.
Okay, and that's $600,000 that the Suffern Central School District is responsible to pay BOCES.
Correct.
For the next fiscal year.
For the next fiscal year.
Okay.
So the way it works is basically every school district has what they call an RWADA. So basically the population in the district. So the larger districts will pay more money. The smaller districts will pay less. So it's based upon a percentage and everyone pays into that. So the BOCES business official sends us all the information. We had a brief discussion where do we want to end up with a larger bill 2 years from now where we're being hit with a $3 million bill in 1 year as opposed to looking at a $600,000 to $700,000 bill. And
how long is the bond for?
I believe it's at 15 years.
Okay, so would it be right to say then that our district's going to be paying $600,000+ per year for the next 15 years to BOCES?
So that number will that number will most likely change.
Okay.
So what I can tell you is I can get you that. I can get the
but okay. I just again I just want to have some basic numbers to get a feel.
So the operating, we will need to build that into our operating budget and our expenses.
Okay.
The nice part is we can put it in as our debt on the balance sheet. So, but we will have that will be in our budget for the next years to come.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me. I'm good. Anybody else?
Any other questions from any board members? No? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Castleman. I know in between these budget workshops, a lot of work takes place in your office as numbers are changing and you're working on trying to firm things up. So we very much appreciate you being here tonight and giving us an update.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and that concludes superintendent's remarks. We're going to now move on to our first of our public participation sections. This is on action items only. Action items are on our agenda tonight from 2.01 through 2.09. Are there any action items that a board member wishes to pull? Okay, no. All right, I would ask for a motion for a consent agenda to approve action items 2.01 through 2.09. Do I have a motion? Motion. Mr. Donnelly, second. Mr. Shapiro, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, then let's move on to board member comments. Do any board members have any comments tonight? Mr. Shapiro.
Last time it was 9 weeks. That was 2 weeks ago. So if my math is correct, it's 7 weeks. 7 weeks until the budget vote. And 7 weeks until the board candidates vote. So please mark it in your calendars if you haven't already. Start speaking to your neighbors. Make sure that they come out to vote. It's always important that we get as many voters out as possible. The last couple of years have been, I don't want to say lean, but they were definitely leaner than some other years before. So please, let's make sure that we get the vote out and let's make sure that we keep this district strong. Thank you.
All right, any other board members with comments tonight? No. Okay. Well, I would just like to thank again everyone who is here from Suffern Middle School. I know it's already an extension of a long day. We really appreciate students and staff, teachers, administrators being here. As you can see from our budget presentation, we deal with a lot of very complicated and serious decisions that we have to make. So it's our pleasure whenever we have students coming to speak with us. I know it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking forum, but we appreciate you so much. Even if you're just here to have your paper signed for government class, you're more than welcome to attend. And now, let's see. Well, we're going to go to our second public participation section. This is on any district-related business. If anyone is here to speak on district-related business, please approach the podium and keep your remarks to 3 minutes. And please do not mention anyone in the district by name, whether a student or teacher, staff, anyone like that. Is there anybody who is here from the public who wishes to speak about district business? Okay, seeing as there are none, we will close that portion of the meeting and move on to superintendent's closing comments. And it's going to be very quiet from the superintendent's seat, so we're going to close that portion of the meeting. Before we adjourn, I just want to notify everyone that the board is going to move back into executive session. We are not going to come back here to resume the meeting when we're finished with that. So I would just like to say that our next public meeting will be April 22nd. This will be at Suffern High School. And we will be recognizing the top 10% of the senior class. So very exciting. Hope you can join us. That's a wonderful, uplifting evening to hear about where all of our seniors are doing. And now I would ask for a motion to adjourn and to move into executive session for the purposes of discussing, let's see, where is it? The employment history of a particular person. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Shapiro, second. Mrs. Hodge, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Very good. We will see everyone back here at Suffern High School on April 22nd. And do I have a motion? Do I need to do a motion to resume executive? No. Okay. All right.